Hello and welcome back to New Paradigm Healing. This series focuses on ayahuasca-assisted therapy. Our intention is to educate, inform, and support the conscious and responsible use of ayahuasca in the Western context. If you want to know more about ayahuasca-assisted therapy and our upcoming trainings and workshops, sign up for our mailing list to be the first one to know about the latest news at avatarhealingarts.com. Hello and welcome back to all of our listeners. This is Nina and I'm so happy to be here again. Wow, what an intense energies. May. I'm sure you're feeling the roller coaster. I'm here with Casey. Hi, sister. Good to have you here.
Good to be here, Nina.
And it's so crazy. The world is so crazy. I'm talking about it with my friends all the time that, wow, it's just like really hard to discern or to define things anymore. Things are shifting, changing so rapidly, frameworks, paradigms that, we are losing a lot of points of references here. And this can be very distressing and can bring up a lot of fear and anxiety and different emotions in people. So yeah, we decided to put this topic for today about intuition, which is very much connected with our all-time favorite topic, the mother ayahuasca, and how intuition can help us to navigate and to center ourselves and to live our best life, really. So that's the topic that we're going to dive in today. I'm so excited. And I think it's good to start maybe with just some kind of or definition of what intuition is for us. What does it mean for you, Casey? Like, how would you define it?
Well, whenever I think of intuition, I'm thinking of like intuitively as an awareness, so a knowing without having any proof or needing to know the proof of what it is, just the inner knowing something.
Right, inner knowing, definitely. Can you pinpoint it? Where is it coming from, that type of knowing? Can you associate it to any place in your physical body, or is it outside of your body?
Usually with, I've never actually thought about physically where it is, because when it's in my head and anxiety, I know that it lies in my stomach.
Right.
But whenever it's an intuition, it's more like just a knowing and a flow.
Okay. There is like everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't come with any kind of other lower vibrational feelings, if that makes sense.
Right. There's always kind of a comforting feeling and voice. Definitely. I totally agree with you. For me as well, it's always this comforting, authentic, uplifting voice that always makes me feel good, and it's never a voice that is causing you or causing us any kind of distress. It's very interesting. I looked it up on the internet, where is the word is coming from, and the word intuition comes from the Latin intuition, meaning insight, direct cognition, or spiritual perception. I really love this definition. I mean, I looked up other definitions and according to psychology and stuff, but I didn't resonate with those ones. But I wanted to share with you and with our audience this one, because that's what I really resonate with. So meaning insight, I think I really like that word instead of, knowledge. Somehow insight is somehow beyond knowledge and beyond the mind, and obviously beyond the reasoning and logical aspect of us, and direct insight or spiritual perception. I really love this part, because for me is definitely intuition something that is flowing from my higher self, from my higher aspect, from my spiritual aspect, my divine aspect. So whatever you want to call it or name it. So that's how I feel. Where is it coming from? So it connects me, direct connection with that spiritual nature and that spiritual aspect that we all have. Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, I feel like it's really interesting, because sometimes my intuition is way more active and spot on than others. And I figured out really this past week the common denominator there, and it's outside noise. So when I'm not taking the time to be still and listen and check my ego, because my ego starts to take over if I don't clear that space. It's just really hard to know what's true and what's not. And so if I don't create that space, then a lot of other noise and a lot of other people are influencing it. And my investigative Casey like side wants to go figure it out, when I
Totally.
sometimes just need to not even know and not waste my time and energy and just let it be. So that's just been a really
Yeah.
big lesson.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing this. And the word I want to repeat here is truth, because that's another aspect that intuition is connected for me. Intuition is that true voice, as you said, that, you know, what, based on what do you discern what is true or not true, right? And for me, intuition is that tool that helps me to discern what is true for me, what is not true for me. And I think intuition really is the highest form of intelligence, because it is not contaminated by the conscious mind. So if you imagine that we have our higher self, let's call it higher self right now, and the higher self is communicating through intuition to you, and this intuition comes directly from the higher self through the heart, actually through the heart and body, and it bypasses the mind. It doesn't go through the mental body, so it's not filtered by thoughts and beliefs. And obviously we all know, and we talked about this many times in our previous episodes, that the mind is programmed and conditioned by other people's ideas, beliefs, society, norms, religions, so on and so forth. So the mind cannot be trusted and relied on 100%, simply because, you know, a lot of the information that is stored in the mind is not true. And therefore, this type of intuition that everybody has and can access is something that is always pure, because it directly comes from your spiritual aspect through the feeling sensory part of you, through the heart. And it does have a voice, but it's just because that's how your mind translates it in the end, right? And therefore it's always pure. This voice is always going to be pure. And I think the other cool thing is that it's always going to be tailored to your individual needs. You know, it's unique to us. Like my intuition might say a completely different thing to me than your intuition to you, because it's our guidance system, you know, and it's tailored to me, and it's tailored to any given present moment also. And so I think it's just it amazes me to imagine in that way that we are literally born with this amazing internal GPS system that is always reliable, always available. You come with it inbuilt, you know, and it's always guiding you towards your highest good and highest benefit moment. I would like to share this quote from Albert Einstein saying, "The intuitive mind, which is the higher mind, is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." So yeah, I would like to hear more about what is your perspective about this, because I really resonate with this, and especially in my work, and especially in ayahuasca assisted therapy, when I work with people, this is a major, it's a major part of that internal healing work, to switch your guidance system from relying 100% on your mind, on your ego mind, to honor and follow your intuition above all. But obviously this is kind of going against the masses in society, because this is not how most people operate. So what is your experience about that?
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind is just, I know like I've been conditioned my whole life to not trust myself. So whenever I started getting clear, intuitive like feelings and stuff, I was questioning it left and right. this can't be right. Wait, what is this? My head? Am I, I just really didn't surrender to that's what it was for a long time, my stubborn nature. So I feel like I'm even now, even to this day, figuring out like to totally trust it. Like it's just a lot of layers of not trusting my whole life, to then just 100%. And then, like I said, all those outside things play a big role in how I'm reacting or how intuitive I am or what knowings are around. A funny note of a knowing, and this is intuition, coincidence, I don't know, but I was shopping and I was having, I think, a pissed off Amazon moment talking about systems, and I just wanted, anyway. So I was wanting to get those like taco holder things, so they don't go everywhere. And I was pissed off at Amazon, didn't order them. And like 3 days later, my mom's like, I got you these taco, and they were the exact same thing. So it's like, was that intuitive? Did I telepathically order these taco stands? Was that in a flow, or was intuitively my mother receiving the message? Like there's things like that that are kind of random examples, but those synchronicities kind of start popping up more frequently and more frequently, if that makes any sense.
I love that. That was my next question, that what happens when you follow that intuition? Can you say some of the characteristics? And definitely synchronicity is one of the things that starts happening when you start listening to and following that voice. Is there anything else that you can point out?
Well, the little gifts that I've missed start showing up. So, when you're listening and not in the noise, and you're in your own sovereignty, in your own space, and your higher self, and you're just able to see things more clearly. And like when it's right in front of your face, it's like there are just things that are right there, but there's so much going on that I can't see what's right in front of my face.
Yeah, definitely, just clarity for me as well. And also for me, a state of flow. Synchronicity is a result of that. Oh, suddenly there is flow, and before it was kind of obstacles and struggling and all that. And yeah, synchronicities and miracles, I mean, things starting to get better than you ever imagined. One of the first biggest moments when I really relied on it, on a big decision, not something small, what kind of bread you buy, or things like that, when you start out, to test your intuition. But I think it was when I decided to leave Europe, because I lived most of my life in Europe, and I was living in Ireland, and I had a very comfortable life, and I had good people around me. I lived in a beautiful place, and then something, obviously this intuition inside of me said, your time here is done. You need to leave, and you need to go not just out of the country, but out of the continent. And I was like, okay. And then it said, go to Peru, do this thing, and then you will find your way. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I remember so many people were like, they just didn't understand, even close friends of mine, that why are you leaving? What's your problem? What are you missing? And there was nothing particularly wrong in my life. It was just, there was this voice so strong that I need to go, and I honor this voice. And of course, just the amount of magic that came out of it. One thing is that we are sitting here talking about this, and we have this podcast. That's one result of me listening to that voice, because I never even, like, in a million years would have thought that I'm gonna do this one day. So I think that was a really defining moment in a big way, that it was really a life decision if I'm going to listen to this voice or not. And of course, I'm not saying that this voice came one day and it said, oh, you need to leave, because it was about 3 years that I had a feeling that I need to move on. But, there is the resistance, things are happening. But at that point, before I left, the voice was, as you said, so clear and loud. And it's just like, okay, you need to honor that.
I'm really stubborn, and I've got this like investigative side of me. I was in news for a long time, in journalism, and I want to find the truth. Like, no matter what, I'm finding the truth.
I love that.
And my little niece hooked me up, like wanted me to go to breakfast with somebody that like her mom worked at some like assisted living facility and he was the chef at. So I meet the guy and I thought it was cute. My 7-year-old niece is wanting to hook me up with this chef. So I go, and the guy, I just knew something was up. And there was zero attraction, but I had to know, like my intuition was like, this guy is super sketchy. And where I should have probably just let it go, I was like, no, I'm going to find out. Needless to say, he was like wanted by the FBI, ended up getting arrested and like all of this stuff because my intuition was straight, like right on, like this guy is a fraud. He's a scammer. Then it's like my drive to know the why has gotten me into some trouble. So I have to be like, I have to be a little bit more aware of that because it can get a little dicey.
I did this little cool thing on Facebook that I posted this question, what happens when you don't listen to your intuition? So I'm going to share here with our audience.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mini poll, what people said, I really resonated with all of these. So when we ignore and deny our intuition, it almost always leads to heartbreak. They said self-destruction, never-ending uphill struggle, exhaustion, depression, but most of all, feeling lost. Right? I think this feeling lost is really the underlying all. Everything is kind of layers on top of that, right? But I can really relate to all of these aspects. But definitely that feeling lost, that is really prominent compared to when I'm in that intuitive space and I honor that and I follow that, I feel clear and confident. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I really resonate with the feeling lost. Absolutely. And, when it gets to that state, what are some things that, you can do to get out of it? Like, because I'm continually struggling with all of that.
Right. I think it's just a constant practice because, as we discussed, we are programmed to rely on the mental faculties like logic and reasoning when we make decisions. We are programmed. Society works that way, and so it's kind of when you start following this intuitive guidance and it's often saying a different thing, right, than the other voices are saying, then it's like literally going against yourself. It feels like it. So it feels like a, struggle and back and forth and all that. But really what I feel is happening that you are going against your false self, the conditioned part of you. That's what it's against, because it's really the only truth to you. It's the true guidance for you. We are just conditioned not to follow or inbuilt intuitive guidance, but to follow reason and logic. So it takes time to rewire the mind and belief systems and so on and so forth, so you can give yourself permission to fully listen to that voice and then act upon that voice, because it goes against our conditioning. It's like, for example, a good example that I remember my father always used to say, you don't have to like your job, it's just a job, you have to do it. And I was like, what do you mean I don't have to like it? I mean, I cannot do something I don't feel good about, or I don't feel good the whole day being there. And he's like, who cares how you feel? It's like, no, I do care, So it's really, it's not so accepted in society. And I think it's time, maybe to bring in the medicine, because for me, one of the biggest way this medicine can help people to connect and to follow this voice is that, first of all, to hear it, to connect to it, so it opens that channel. So people who find it difficult even to tap into this voice, because of this medicine opens us up, on such a deep level. Normal, like what happened to me, definitely, that this voice becomes so much clearer and stronger. And of course, because of the shadow work and the whole integration work that you are going through once you work with this medicine, you are in this plastic state when it's much easier to rewire the mind and to reprogram and to shift perspectives and to heal trauma and stuff. So to say, the obstacles that are not allowing us to act upon intuitive guidance, to deal with the obstacles, this medicine can really help to deal with the depth of it, and in a relatively fast way, so we can able to act upon that intuitive guidance. And I think, that for me, definitely this plant and the conscious work with this plant really helped me to step into my ability to follow this voice and to let go of the obstacles and the programmings that prevented me to follow this voice. And when I work with clients, I had the same experience. As they let go of the programming, they naturally were able more to follow this internal guidance, and they became a sovereign being, not needing external validation, not needing opinion of others after a period of time, because they really connected with this internal guidance. And I think that is, wow, it's such an amazing gift, and this a lot has to do with our experience of freedom. So how was your experience, in relation to the medicine and your work with the medicine and intuition and following the guidance and removing, the obstacles from the way?
Yeah, there were a lot of moments where that whole trusting myself thing was just so foreign. So I think it gradually improved. And the more I started following my intuition, the easier it became. Whenever you're in that moment of transformation, do you trust yourself, or do you trust that everybody else around you is like, oh, you need this and you need that, and did you think about this? You just either have to jump or not at some point,
right?
Or live in that hamster wheel, or that life that you really fought so hard, which is why you stopped the medicine to get out of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really resonate with what you said, that, with the work with this medicine really magnifies that voice. So a lot of times, people who kind of heard that voice before, and they was like, hey, you should leave your job, you should leave your house, like you should make some changes in your life. But she's like, let's just be quiet there, shut up. And after the medicine, that voice becomes really like a mega speaker, and it's like almost like, you cannot ignore it, like it's cannot be swept under the carpet. And then of course you are in this transformation transition. And what you said, I thank you for sharing, I so resonate with it, that in the end, even you do your healing, you remove the obstacles, you hear the voice, you want to follow it, all of this, but it's really the action what will make the difference. So if you start to take action and follow that guidance and see what happens, and as we listed, a lot of cool things will happen. We tell you and we guarantee that this will happen, because I never heard anybody to say, oh, I listened to my intuition and then it turned out horrible. If that's the case for you, then that voice wasn't intuition. We are telling you it was a different voice. So it's really, as people start taking small actions and listen to their intuition first in smaller things that it's not a huge life-changing decision, small things, and then see, oh, that's great, it turned out great. Now I have more trust and confidence in myself, in that voice, so on and so forth. So more likely to act upon it again. And then as you start taking more action and have more experience, this trust and confidence will grow, this connectedness with that voice, with that aspect of yourself will grow. And as you said, it's a process, to shift your navigation system into a different system, navigate in a different way. And I think in terms of the healing process, another aspect I would like to pinpoint with the medicine, especially with this medicine and intuition, that intuition is very connected, or the lack of intuition, with anxiety. And so many people suffers from anxiety, and it's really debilitates people's life, and we can feel for that. It's not a pleasant experience. And in many cases, when I work with people with anxiety, the underlying reason for anxiety is that they are completely disconnected from this voice and lost within themselves. And in their mind, there is 1,000 voices all saying different things. And as we said at the beginning, right now we are at the point in the world that there is even 10,000 more voices saying more and more things. So imagine you are in that state and you have to make a decision, because life is making decisions every day. You make several decisions throughout your life, and you need a framework, you need a reference, you need something to base your decisions off. So if you rely on your mind, actually the more information you have, the more confused you're going to be when you have to make a decision. And that creates anxiety. That creates a lot of anxiety and feeling of being lost. When you are connected to this aspect of yourself and you are listening to that voice, there is no doubt there. That is very clear. It's very comforting. You take action and you feel relieved. You know that you made a good decision. So it's just very different. And then in that state, you feel calm, you feel relaxed. There is no fear there. There is no doubt there. There's no anxiety there. So, this has, I think, a lot to do in general in the world, people having so much anxiety, just losing their connection within themselves, to their own guidance system, to their own higher self, and then of course relying on other people and other things all the time when they have to make a decision. And it's very confusing, especially in this moment in time.
Absolutely. It's really like I look and I think it's such an amazing gift to have, especially right now in this time, because if you really are taking in information and looking at the bigger picture, it's like you can see it all as information without being so attached. And when there's so much information out there, really the one thing that you can trust is your intuition and your higher self. And so far it's been about the only thing, no, I can say it has been the only thing that I can for sure depend on and trust. It's been an amazing journey to see the layers come off.
Absolutely. And for me too. And of course, we are still on this journey. And just right now in my life, I just had an incident, when I ignored that voice. And I know so much better. And I normally I'm honoring myself. And then, I ended up in a very uncomfortable situation within a very short period of time. And it was so clear to me that this happened because I went against myself and I felt something really strongly, and I knew what I need to do. And I overrode it with my mind and I justified it and I created a story to explain it in this way and that way, and not honor myself, not honor that voice and not follow that. And then, a great deal of discomfort was created that was not necessary if I would have just listened, and stayed in my flow. And now I had to make a little detour, and a little bit of uncomfort. That was my choice, really. There is no one to blame there, So yeah, it's amazing. It's super empowering, it's confidence, I think it's a lot to do with confidence, versus insecurity. When you feel lost, you feel insecure. When you're clear, you have this guidance, you feel confident, you feel relaxed, you feel that no matter what's happening, I will know what to do. That's how I feel, What's you gonna do if it comes a hurricane? I don't know. Like I'm gonna figure it out, in whatever situation I'm going to be in, that guidance will be available for me. And I don't have to know in advance, what I would do. I know by now, because of this practice, that I will have that guidance available, and that will be, not led me astray ever. And I just need to act upon it. And in my practice, there was a time when I did a lot more in-person work, and sometimes I had sessions when very unexpected things happened, when trauma surfaces, people release things, and there is no way you can prepare for every possible thing that can, occur. So, and in this case as well, that's my anchor, the intuition that whatever happens, I'm connected and I will know in that moment what to do, for the benefit of everybody in that situation. And it always worked, and it's amazing. And definitely I feel that the mother ayahuasca is really speeds up this process, to change your guidance system from this old school GPS, which is reason and logic, to this higher intelligent system, to this like upgraded system. And I think that this medicine greatly helped me and people I work with to go through this shift in a shorter amount of time, and as you said, this voice become very, very clear in very short amount of time compared to when I work with other people with other tools doing therapy. It took much longer to remove all the layers, all the obstacles, and to, rewire all the programming. So actually the individual is able to act upon it, because a lot of times I observe that a lot of people, especially of course women, they hear that voice pretty clearly. Most women hear that voice. If you do a little exercise with them and help them to quiet and tune in, they hear it. The problem is that they don't follow, they don't act upon it. That is the problem, and that is because of trauma and conditioning. And that's what needs to be dealt with, so the individual will be able to follow that guidance. And that medicine is one of the most perfect tool or ally, to help individuals to do that. So we wanted to make this topic today only for intuition.
It's been a really amazing gift to really step into that knowing and trust myself, because I feel like I've denied myself of this superpower for so long that it's like I couldn't get stuck in the like I missed it this whole time, but like in the empowerment of like, okay, these are real and these are mine, and this is such an awesome gift, and not everybody's going to understand that, but the trusting also, like the intuition of like trusting people with certain things. It's like I've learned to just be with myself and not the need to have the outside stuff, because if it's just me, then I'm very clear. If it's
Yes.
other opinions, yes,
and whatever practices we need to do to quiet and center where the voice is, the most clear and the most strong, I think it's absolutely crucial, that we have those tools and practices, especially at the beginning, because I think after a while it becomes your nature, and it will become automatic almost, like the other way around. It's just a habit. Is a question of perspective. It's just like, as you said, a complete shift. And it's also part of why this medicine is so powerful and creates so much change, because you're not going to relate with people anymore so well who do not follow this type of guidance,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it can be, maybe that's a topic for another session. So yeah, we hope that you liked it and this information was useful for you. And I'm doing a mentoring program for the summer called Reclaim Your Intuitive Superpower. It's 3 months mentoring. It's a small group. So go to my website, avatarhealingarts.com/events, if you want to hear more about it. And there's still some places to sign up if you feel you're ready to tap into your intuitive guidance and take back the power over your life. And for the next episode, we're going to have some surprise that we don't even know yet. So, and remember that you are the healer, love is the medicine, and we love you and sending you so much love.